Make a motion, to open the meeting at 7:44.
Seconded.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
So the vote is.
Let the record show that Andrea is absent and
Bob Eric Kelly.
Bob Eric Kelly at the moment.
Okay. First up, Mike and Woody.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Woody Cammett, PE Cammett Engineering, representing the Water and Sewer Board, with Mike Dempsey representing Concom. This is in regard to the Angelini property and the town, the purchase that the town's gonna make. We're currently working through a conservation restriction with several departments on this and the Mattingly property. And one of the criteria dealing with the purchase of the property is to the water department to obtain a gravel removal permit for the last quadrant or two of the original gravel pit. So we've drawn up the plans, they've been submitted to the Board of Selectmen. They're in the process of scheduling a public hearing under the bylaw. And also, we have already filed with the Conservation Commission along with our stormwater plan and meeting the NPDS requirements of the stormwater regulations. Based on that, we have applied to the planning board under the ordinance of the earth removal, the land disturbance bylaw that was adopted under the NPDS regulations. And we are seeking a waiver to not require a permit from that ordinance since a stormwater plan has been approved by DEP and by the Concom under the other conditions, which covers the exact same thing that the ordinance does. So the planning board has the right, if they so desire, to consider a waiver to that permit.
Motion to,
Hold on.
any other questions?
Couple questions.
Yep.
Does Angelini still have the rights to use the right of way to Center Street for the trucking?
Yes.
Or are all these trucks going to be going out Zachary Path?
It'll be totally restricted to the right-of-way that was granted by Mr. O'Kelly to Center Street.
Okay.
There will be access and egress from that point.
Yeah.
So there'll be no access on Zachary Path or no access on Newcrest.
And I believe back when we did the earth excavation out of there, they could only go one way on Washington Street too, at the intersection of the church and Center Street.
Okay, if you could mention that to the Board of Selectmen when they consider the permit.
Yeah, because the residents were very adamant about that. All right, so as it stands, you're just gonna take the loom after you're done excavating from the loom pile up here and then slope it and restore the cells down
Yeah,
here.
he has excess loom on site,
Yeah,
so each cell will be restored according to the bylaw with the loom, and the excess loom will be taken off the site and then.
I was the earth removal officer when all that took place, so
Yep.
I'm familiar with all the land and everything.
Okay. Motion to grant the waiver.
So motion.
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Show the vote unanimous, show the waiver granted.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Yep.
Thanks.
See what you got? For the record, I knew we got a couple of corrections, but the engineer never called. So what did you end up doing? Circle, setbacks. Okay. Okay.
120.
Yeah, because he put the
Okay.
plan out.
And then what, you just kept this as what?
It's unbuildable right now. Eventually I'm gonna apply for one more subdivision.
Okay.
I-
What's happening with this?
That's not me.
Okay,
That's not
so you can wave in, and then
Right,
where's the
well,
lot gonna be?
The lot's gonna be back here. I'm gonna do a circle right here. And I'm giving myself an easement across this, like,
Okay.
it comes up like this.
Do you have a
with
sketch of
circle.
what that's going on?
I have a real rough sketch, but I don't have it with me.
Okay.
Because you're coming back before us.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
For
so
a
this is
one-lot
the correct,
subdivision.
yeah.
Yeah, one lot subdivision with waivers is what we want to
I
do.
saw a copy of this out in my box, I was looking at it the other day.
I did make one
Much
change.
better order.
he had this lot going behind this one, and I had him take that out, I didn't want, I said to him, is there a minimum lot width? I didn't want to create a conflict there, but there was no need to have that finger in there, so I just had him square the thing off.
Driveway,
Where's that sewer coming to?
driveway.
Where's the sewer
Sewer,
coming to?
the sewer is 1,700 feet back here.
Okay, but you're bringing it to what
I'm
location?
not
You're not gonna do it?
Can
So
see those guys
all
back
set.
there.
Not for 1,700 feet, I'm
See those guys in the back of the room?
We've met, I
See if
got
they
a
can
force
help
main
you
out
out.
there, but they won't let me in it.
No?
Yeah, I know.
Good for a lift station. No, that's right up
Don't
front. That's
have to,
high. You don't have to up here. That's high.
No, there's actually, there's a force main coming out of the school that runs right behind.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's,
yeah.
yeah, but you can't go into the force main, they don't want you going.
Well, you could with a grinder pump, you could go.
It's theirs. That's
I know,
what
I know,
was
that's what they're
told.
doing.
Yeah,
Okay.
Recently, there was some talk of them, of me getting an easement here, and then
Yep.
letting me tie in for nothing, but I don't think they're gonna be on board with that one.
So you did 120, 120. This is the narrowest, 120 is here too.
but he's,
Right?
Yes, we're showing 120 right there.
Yeah, okay, that's what I'm looking for, 120 here, driveways, circle, CBAs.
But he did
Yes,
both
yeah.
of these, but we're doing this one, is what we're gonna do.
Yeah, that's fine. You just have to show adequate access.
Right.
Okay. Now the cul-de-sac coming here,
Cul-de-sac,
That would be
it's over-
interesting.
it's over here, that's just, it touches this.
so this will be frontage here, and then the other one will be frontage here. All right, then.
No, I think the frontage is here, and then on the cul-de-sac.
And then what's the lot gonna look like? You're gonna have this, your pie can't be there.
This is it, this is the lot, this is all that's left.
So where's the back? Because you're gonna have the same problem.
Right. But I mean, I can't just like throw a piece of land away.
No, but what you can do is define it and then do it not a buildable lot.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
well, I certainly have enough. I have
Yeah,
enough
yeah,
to
yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
Just make sure when you design the lot,
Okay.
that you take care of that issue.
Okay.
With it, or turn it.
Turn the back line?
Yeah, so
Okay.
this is the back.
Okay.
You'll see, when the circle comes in, you'll know
Okay.
exactly what I'm talking about, because you
Okay.
can't have a pie like that
Okay.
in the back, so.
but you can sell it.
Do you have your
Right.
Form As, your apps, and your check?
I have the check, I have the Mylar,
You need 3 Form A plans.
I'm not sure I have the,
That's the application, then we gotta sign it. We went to,
I think I have it home, I can go get it, come back.
go get it, come back.
All right, sounds good.
Okay,
All right.
you need 3 of them.
3 forms? 3 Form A.
1 form times 3, or 3 forms, whatever, just make sure they're all filled out.
All right,
Let's
thanks.
go sign
What's
off
the check?
Yeah, I got the check.
Okay, Lisa and Chris, you guys,
That's good.
you want to them up? And that way we can talk at length with the,
Who are they?
Fairways? Folks, Fairways?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, we gotta chat with you about some other stuff afterwards. So don't go away.
Yeah.
Stay tuned.
Just as long as she's on your
And
clock.
She's
no,
on-
no, no, I'm not on
She-
their clock
she's
at
been-
all.
she's been on our
No,
clock.
That's the
I'm not on
question,
their
that's the
clock.
question. How
I'm
much is
not-
left on the clock?
I'm not on there, I can't be. I
No.
can't be on your clock.
George, do you have the hard
Yeah.
copy?
Yes,
I do, so I'm gonna pass it out. So I have good news and bad news. We came tonight to release the covenant,
Add more copies if you need it.
Yeah,
and lo and behold,
yeah.
the covenant was never recorded.
I'll go.
So we gotta record it first, and then release
Well, we're gonna give you a bond,
it. Cash,
bank note.
bank, note.
Well, what do you need for the bank?
A letter,
of credit.
either a letter of credit or cash.
Cash is good.
Um,
I'm sure Greg will like that. Or
Sure he
whoever's,
will.
who took over for Greg?
So it doesn't make sense to record it and then release it. So what I've prepared for you is it's actually it's a combination of your G1 and G2 form, since that we don't have a covenant to release. The amount of the bond would be $151,635 minus 10, because you already have 10 for our 2 foundation permits.
Mm-hmm.
So the amount would actually be $141,635.
I got it.
So what it's your basic security agreement where, as he completes stuff, you keep 20% until it's either accepted or, any repairs are done to finish out the work.
Okay, Bob, any questions on these numbers?
No, I went over the numbers and everything looks good. The only thing is contingent if I approve the work done. And also on the bond, whether it's a passbook or cash, it has to be for perpetuity. It can't expire in a year or 2 years or whatever.
Right, it has to go continuous with the agreement.
Right, until we approve it.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, so what in the release of security, what I have in your covenant here, your security agreement is, as the trust completes, the trust is the developer, the various items on the form attached, that's this list, to the reasonable satisfaction of the planning board, 80% of the estimated dollar amount next to each item will be released to the trust by the board. The remaining 20% in each category will be held by the town until the entire subdivision is complete, or until such time as the roadway is accepted by the town, whichever occurs last. That's your language, to secure any necessary repairs to the work completed as may be required during such period. So nothing's released until you say it's released.
Did you put the amount in there?
No, I left it until, I wanted to make sure you guys said, okay, and then
Then you went 20 over?
we can write it in, and then I have a notary.
So Bob, are you satisfied at 141, or are you gonna up that?
No, that's satisfactory, and I informed them about the 10% in case we needed to hire our own lawyer or anything, and that's in there, so I'm happy with the figure.
Yeah, we adjusted it up 10% on the 137,850, that takes it to 151,635,
Yeah.
minus the 10, which you already have.
Okay. Can you do a passbook instead of letter of credit? Because letter of credits, we've had so many issues with over the years. I mean, because
I already set it up under the premise that I could do a letter of credit with the bank. Quite honestly, you know how fast we're rolling with this, and within the next 45 days, I'll be coming in here and getting, if not all of it released, a very large portion of it.
Now, as long as it says in that letter of credit from the bank that it won't expire.
That's correct.
yeah, but attaching it is the problem. We've had problems with that. We've had a subdivision, actually more than one, where we've had to go in and try to attach a letter of credit, and it doesn't get released, but we can't get the funds out either. So that's a problem.
Well, but you'll have priority on the letter of credit, right?
Yeah, but priority, okay, this one subdivision that I recall, that we had to do that with a letter of credit, we actually had to go in and do some work, and we couldn't attach it, and it was a small amount. So, but with a passbook, you already have the withdrawal slip signed, 3 of them, so that if we had to go in and do $2,000 worth of work, we're just gonna get it. So, not that that would happen to you, but it has happened in the past. In a letter of credit, we got into this big, long, took a year. So ultimately, I think the developer just went in and did it, but
It's
it takes
choose
some time.
optional in the bylaws.
Well, it's one of the 3, but the letter of credit, it's one of the 3 under the state law. So, letter of credit, prefer the passbook. Why don't you speak with get clarification from Greg's office?
Well,
He's not there anymore.
Yeah, I know his office.
right, the bylaw allows it, right, so does the state law, so
One of
your
the
issue
3,
is that you have
tripart.
access to it, right?
We have access and we can actually attach it and cash it.
Right,
And actually, it's not my personal issue, it's actually
well, no, I mean,
their issue.
I don't mean, right.
Yeah. Where we've had to go in and do some work and we were unable to get it done. But if you're moving so quick, these things are gonna come out anyway, fairly quickly,
Right.
so.
It's just getting the passbook, it's gonna be a much harder task for me with the bank to do so.
Why? Banks like, which bank?
5 cent savings bank.
Say
It's a
that.
whole different process for approval.
He's ready to go on this, that's,
I got the letter ready to be issued by the bank, and I'll be.
Has the finance director looked at it yet? Cause he's the one that's gonna be holding it.
No, I just did it in accordance with the town regulation.
Sorry. Sorry.
I just did it in accordance with the regulation. This is,
Okay, so you haven't met with her at all?
I have not met with her. I met with Greg and we discussed it, but I guess, I understand Greg's not
Right.
with the town
We're
anymore.
changing it, sorry. So we should approve the amount, and then the vehicle should be approved by the finance office.
all right, so if you approve this amount,
Yeah.
with the schedule, then do you wanna you do execute it, and then we'll give it to them, and then they'll approve the amount, and then I can notarize it, cause I'm a notary. And then we'll hold it and give it to them with the, either the letter of credit or passbook, depending what they
Yeah,
want to do.
whatever they wanna do. I'm okay with that. It's their call, actually.
I'm okay with what he's proposing.
Yeah, okay, so a motion to endorse, Form G1, with the amount of 141. Do you have one for lettering?
Yeah,
Okay.
141, 635.
Okay,
So motion.
Second from last week.
and second on it?
Second.
All in favor, so gonna say aye?
Aye.
Aye, show the vote unanimous, show Form G1, motion to endorse Form G1 for recording?
So motion.
Second.
All in favor, so gonna say aye?
Aye.
Aye, show the vote unanimous. Okay. Certified copies, Lisa, when you.
Yeah.
Don't go anywhere, we still need you.
Alright.
We have questions.
Questions.
We have questions on the zoning
I
side.
can't do that.
No, once you're done with him, we have, basically, it's one question. Okay?
It's been 5 years,
We know that.
5
We
years,
didn't do that part.
30 grand,
yeah, always for a little while.
Nobody can give us the answer, you can give us the answer, and then we know what we gotta do.
Alright, we'll sign this and then we'll make sure you get copies and everything.
okay,
Okay.
so.
I won't
stick
go way
around?
too far.
Okay, all right, who's up next?
I
Bob, would you have up?
notice every
She
time
and
I
Wayne?
go down there, there's a lot of interested people in buying housing.
Yeah, well.
This is the old Sheehan Way.
Yeah,
It was almost through the door.
yeah, except for a couple of things, so,
Yeah. Now, what we're here to talk about is the changes that we want to propose to make life easier, hopefully.
so it went from a 4 to a what?
Now it's down 3. There's no photography here, it's just a conceptual sketch at the moment.
Okay,
So
can you give me the same sheet on 4?
Yep. This is 3 still.
Walter, did you get his name good for the record?
No. Yeah, who are you guys, since you're.
Oh, I'm sorry, my name's John Hargraves, PGA Consultants.
John, okay, and
I'm Scott Green. and,
Scott Green. Scott, you were in here before,
Yeah,
weren't
I
you?
was, I talked to
Yeah.
you guys briefly. I'm with Wallace. Wallace Capital owns the property. I'm that representative.
Okay,
And we'll be building it with
okay.
Would you like to see the,
Just show the, give us the 4,
with the lot, with the
With the 4
topography,
lots.
or-
yeah, whatever you got. I just
Have
wanna
the
see
whole
what,
bit.
then and now. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, so you kept the back of, large. This here, you still got this access going in here, right?
Yes,
No, it's gonna change, okay.
everything's
And-
the same except it's shortened down to 338 feet versus the 488.
Okay, so that's good, so what else did you change besides taking the lot out and shortening up the road?
Nothing, however,
What about that retaining wall?
retaining wall in the entry's still there.
Yeah, okay,
You might see a change to the block wall
okay,
as opposed to reinforced concrete.
is that stronger? Or
Not in my
less
opinion.
expensive? Okay, so why
Less
the change?
expensive. Less expensive.
Well,
How
it
much?
doesn't, I think, I disagree with him. I think
Why?
like a Ready Rock or Shea, I've done some nice walls. One thing,
Yeah.
they're nice looking, okay?
Yeah,
They got the tumbled look,
Yeah.
okay? They're all masked, there's no grid in it and stuff. And they're more money than,
He wants to put in the Hayes block system that I built behind the library on Marion Way and over here at the.
not small blocks.
The 2,000-pound
Yeah.
blocks and stuff.
yeah,
I had explained to him that I wanted a retaining wall there and possibly
Right.
fabric.
right,
So I've already gone over that part. The only thing I see changed that the neighbors at the hearing really were concerned about was the buffer zone in the back of these lots. It looks like it was reduced. They wanted more trees in there and stuff.
Absolutely. That's not. an
okay,
issue.
so,
You don't have all the abutters on it, you've got one, Snyder.
where,
This is what it was back in 98.
right, now, what are you applying for? That was 98 when we started?
Yeah.
We started in 96, that's a serious.
When was the last mod? Are you within the 7 years?
It's changed hands.
Yeah, what, 3 times, something?
When was the last
Last
revision?
comments were,
4
May
times.
of 98.
Is this the buffer?
No, they
On
can't.
there?
May of 98 was the last revision.
Down the end, where
Yep.
the neighbors down there were concerned
No.
about.
It never made it here, the last revision of my plans were made in 98, the last submission.
Did you do
Was
the originals,
212.
John?
Yeah.
See,
I was working with PLS.
all right, so wait a minute. I'm just thinking here for a second. So when this went through all the hands, because this went live a couple times,
Yes, this is.
when was the last submission to the board? It wasn't 98, it was like,
February 12th of 08 was the last
Oh,
comment
wait.
we received.
thank you, okay, oh wait.
Yeah.
So you're still within the 7-year window of a subdivision to be live?
Okay.
Okay, so we're trying to figure out where you're going. Are you starting over from ground zero?
We're trying not to.
Okay, so that's good. So what you're doing is, do you consider this a minor change or a major change?
Mine.
A minor change, okay. I see the one lot, that's good, that'll help things out. What else is in your proposal to change?
Well, like, as Bob was mentioning, that, that just by nature of shrinking the cul-de-sac, we shrunk the lots, but we still have the circle, and we still conform to all the zoning.
Right,
So that,
You've got 1 inch
that's-
and 40 for a scale, it looks like you're maintaining the 1 inch. But what we would definitely wanna see is a buffer zone delineated on here saying no cut, trees left.
that's the old plan though, Bob.
No,
that's,
this-
he's looking at the new one.
Oh, you're looking at the new one, okay. What do you?
Yes,
Comparing the two.
like I was saying, when you shrink it down, you
Yeah.
change these lots, so now we get more issues with the buffer zone, so we can.
Because you're
address
pushing the
that.
other way, yeah.
Right.
The biggest-
When we ran into it before on other properties like Stonebridge, you gotta make sure you have it clearly marked on their plans and also a granite marker put in on the lot lines to show it's no cut.
What would they like? What would neighbors?
How wide?
Remember what they like, for a buffer?
Wait a minute, you're
They wanted trees and.
No, I'm
still trying to
saying
figure out
footage.
logistics and expediency of the filing before I get into buffer
Oh.
zone. Buffer zones are definitely necessary, but they're gonna be, I'm just looking at that plan, this plan, I shrunk this up, you pushed these back, why?
Well,
Because of the cul-de-sac came out,
a few
okay,
reasons,
yeah, all right,
The biggest challenge on the site is that the land drops off dramatically
Yeah, yeah.
back here, so now
you
we're
still have the
minimizing the fill.
pond back here?
Berry chamber system.
Yeah. Anything inside here, and what about the center cul-de-sac, all that?
Right now, as you look at it, it's the same size as it was.
Right,
I was trying to scurry through the file to figure out why we were forced to keep it this large versus that large.
yeah,
Well,
Is there a preference with the board?
that was pre-subdivision rules. and
so,
regs.
so,
That's why.
what's the diameter on this? Is this 120 or
100?
That?
the existing?
No, that's a lot bigger than
Yeah, that's a.
Walter, what they were talking about, what they were concerned about was the drainage on the roadway. They were
Right.
talking, they wanted to put a swale in, they were talking about cobblestone to accept water in the
Yeah.
circle and stuff, so there is a concern of where the water's gonna run. You don't want it running
120.
to the, right of Cedar
125,
Way, there's a bank in there.
Okay, so that's a standard cul-de-sac, okay. So Bob, where's the, since we don't have topography on this one, where's the pitch? For the
Everything pitches, if you're heading on
Down this way?
Salem Street to the right.
Okay,
Is a
Vision
steep
this.
drop
Yeah.
off
That's
all
what it looks
along
like,
here.
yeah.
okay. And what's your catch basin on this side, and on the ground system?
Sidewalk is on the westerly side.
Right, they were
Yeah.
talking about pitching the road to the house side.
House, that makes sense.
All right, so,
Yeah, it was heavily analyzed with the stormwater drainage design and
Yeah.
everything else.
And
So
you're gonna keep the same
works.
system?
then they
Same
had the
system.
detention pond down here where
Right.
they took out the lot.
Right,
because
that-
it's
so
wet
where's that
down
going?
there. So you're gonna need
Same
to
spot.
put the catch basins in and then feeding that detention pond.
Okay. All right, so, I don't know if everybody's where I am on this thing here. Okay, we have a couple of options as a board on this. This has been through a lot, we've been through a bunch of reviews. Now, the options are, the applicant could reactivate that, make the changes that were necessary on the last review, and within short order, if the board approved it, proof 4-lot subdivision in no time. Approved. Okay, now, the other option is they would like to go to a 3-lot, is this correct? Okay, all right, and so you're trying to use that vehicle, since you were the engineer record, okay, do a name change with an application and pick up where it left off, but completing a definitive review, although shortened probably, because of the step. But you do have some changes to make, obviously, with the buffer zone system, the roadway being short length on that. Okay,
And the key thing is the drainage,
Right.
because that fourth house dictated where the detention was and where the pipes were gonna run and everything.
yeah.
So I need to see a complete plan of the drainage system
Well, let's find out
with the elevations.
what is it you're trying
Yeah.
to file? Because you know the process, if you start with the conceptual and then you're gonna go through and through, you're a couple years down the
My
line.
goal here was to use, and I know the system, you know, with us shortening the road, that's a massive system.
Oh, it is,
It's massive, and I talked with John about it. I'm willing to keep that system, it's overkill, okay?
Yeah.
If this simplifies the process and speeds up the process, okay, so,
Well, using that existing plan with the existing application that was on record, that's why I was asking for that date. That last revision was key, and you're coming up on that timeline. But it's the flavor of the board if they consider this a major change or minor change, but either way, you're gonna go straight to the definitive review filing?
It's up to the board.
that's what
Well,
I'd like to do.
We
Well,
need,
how
that's
fast
why
could
we're
you,
here tonight.
how fast could you turn this into that?
Less than a month.
okay,
Why
so,
don't
and then
you
it's
do
gonna,
that, come back in?
Okay.
well, okay, so,
There's no sense in, you know, them going crazy with this thing, because we've already approved basically that design.
right, but he's gotta do a
And, well,
refiling, so.
Yeah, he's gotta do a refiling.
So here's-
Go right to
here's,
the front of that.
Flavor of the board, I think, we'll see how this goes. I would see this as, it is a new application because of the name change, but it's an approved subdivision up to the final review. It only had one minor change to it. Why didn't that ever happen?
I have no, cash flow, it was
Was
back in '07, '08.
Yeah.
What happened, so.
It was very minor change that was necessary, and then it could have been sold as a 4-lot subdivision approved, and it just never happened.
Right,
That was kinda strange. We always wondered about that.
A couple,
same here.
a
Yeah.
couple things I wanted to ask. That has like cobblestone and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Can we ask for waivers on that, on some of that stuff?
Well, you can ask for the waivers, but if you look at the cul-de-sacs, you know, the cobblestone design was in the middle, and that's gonna depend on your drainage. I mean, you got a big drainage system in there. So you gotta have some landscaping in there for sure, it can't just be a bare bones, open
No,
up thing.
well, we'll do with landscape, and I will work with John heavily in regards to the drainage. This system is, I mean, I know drainage well.
Yeah.
I've installed systems, and that's a big system. That thing should be able to handle this hands down, and we're removing a lot of pavement, okay?
Yeah.
And one less house.
No, I understand that, so I mean,
And
that's
where
always,
it's
that's always
positioned,
good.
it's gonna give a little bit better, when, down here, I mean, the topography of the land, just like, there was a huge amount of fill that would have had to been brought in and stuff, and it wasn't, this makes this, site so much more usable and friendly.
Right, but you gotta remember now, you gotta make sure these folks are happy and these folks are happy.
Exactly, and
And
that's,
this guy on the corner,
Well,
did you
how
rebuy
many
this? Did you
drains
purchase
have you
that?
got that you're gonna put in around
That's
the
for
sale.
cul-de-sac
Did
that
everybody
would
buy that?
lead
I don't know.
into that retention basin? How many
Okay,
How many drains
I
right
will work
around it?
well, right now, it looks like they have one drain system. It catches from down here, catches over here, and drains down to the system here. I wanna see what the pitch is, because this is gonna change a little bit over here.
Mhm.
And I will make sure there's plenty of catch basins to deal with the drainage in it. The smartest way to
Just
do
a
it is
month?
just pitch it,
Yep.
just
seems
pitch,
kinda short.
Well, I'm
pitching
looking
it
at some
this way.
changes that might be
Okay, that way
coming
it
up.
keeps it off the neighbors.
If I didn't make
okay?
these changes, I'd have it in a,
And we deal with all the
I can
runoff going
get it out
down
in a
here
week.
into this massive system. And,
if I'm changing HydroCAD, it's
Okay. So here's what, maybe we should suggest, and you folks tell us, just take this back and we'll take it under advisement. I would suggest the new application on the definitive, skipping the preliminary process and the conceptual, because this has already been through it. I mean, this was like a 4-year beat up on this plan. If you were starting from a plain sheet of paper, you'd have to go through everything there. However, you're still gonna have the filing fees that go with it as if you were not. Okay, so, the lots are a little more, so look at the fee schedule on that. List your changes are key here, because if you're coming under the old existing plan rights, okay, you can't go too crazy with it, so you're gonna keep a lot of it the same, but then list the changes. I don't know if you wanna just do a separate sheet for that, as to what they would be, and then we still gotta kick it out to review and get that.
Walter, the only other stipulation was there'll be no mining operation there. All the cuts and fills have to stay on the property. The only thing is the cellar holes that are dug can be trucked away, but there's no mining operation to.
Well, it never got to writing of the, yeah, so you'd come under the
It was
regs
brought
and
up.
under that. So, but from a plan, an approved plan from the last filing with the changes, okay, you still have gotta go through everything, make sure nothing's missing.
Right.
Cause you don't wanna get hung up on a review process, so just run through it, and make sure everything is on the plan as detailed as possible. And then you'll get through the reviews, and then it'll kick it back over here. That's about the only thing that I can see that would speed this thing up, and then it's up to you to get the changes out and then get them back to us. And
So it
then,
has to go through the peer review process.
right, and then send a letter to the board with what your intent is. Intent to use, I don't know who does your writings, okay? The subdivision plan, last revision date of 2008, of Skip Sheehan Way with modifications we consider minor, and if there's any majors. And what your intent is with the plan, and what your intent is with the filing, and what you would like the board to act on. Okay, so as you come in with all this stuff, we got it all together. Because, on a conceptual plan, Bob's right, we need a lot more detail though.
On the conceptual plan you did?
What's that?
On the conceptual plan, you need more detail?
No.
Oh,
You
yeah.
can, we just need a cover letter as
Yeah,
to what,
the
and you can
narrative.
send that tomorrow if you get it out there. Just get it to the board so we know what you're doing.
Yeah.
So we can bless it in the direction that you're going into, okay?
So you want the letter before the plans?
So we all have to know what process you're going through.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
Trying to help you out here with that.
That's why we're here.
Yeah, so, but if anybody comes back and says, why'd you do that, we have answers, because, we know this, but people watching at home may not realize this thing went through about a 6 or 7 year review process already.
Yeah.
And actually, this is better for the town this way, because we're reducing a lot, reducing the density, more land to all the existing lots, a much larger buffer zone for the residents on both sides.
We may get out
And,
a special permit.
yeah, what's that?
We may be able to avoid the special permit.
Yeah, if you get the calculations down, yeah.
Haven't done that
Okay, yeah, that would be good, because you don't wanna get caught up in that. And we're also taking care of a traffic issue on the back out on Salem Street with this corner.
Good.
So there's a lot of bonuses to this compared to that, but you still gotta comply with the regs.
That was another thing, that house on the corner was
Right.
in agreement to put the driveway off of this.
Mhm.
That's fine if they want to.
Well, no, it's a mandatory,
Oh.
that was in there.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Cause what happened was this probably sold too quick, and, well, John, it's like, so that's, you can explain to him what happened on that.
So is it written in that they have to move to the, good.
Yeah.
Makes sense, I think I'd rather have it,
Yeah, to use the frontage over here,
right,
so, for access.
Yep.
So, you can relook at that language, that was already in there somewhere, so. Any other questions of the board?
No.
the review process, how long does that take?
Depends on you guys, it's, if you get everything in, and get it moving, you could be less than 6 months.
Less than 6 months,
Right.
it takes that long?
The key thing for the time frame is
That's before you start digging.
revisions. if you have to have revisions done, our third-party engineer, that's what takes up the time and expense. So
Well, you
the
know,
more
that's what
you can
happens.
have completed in the conceptual and
Well, if you're gonna go right to definitive,
Yeah,
I would load it.
Well,
So
we're
that
gonna
everything
load
is
it up with
there,
as
so
much
we're-
information, I mean, just,
You
you
know.
can't put everything down, right?
Yeah.
that's fast.
That'll
6
go
months
fast.
to spool up, that is quick. It's usually a year and a half.
We have one
And if
guy.
you're
went
special
about-
permit, it's
We
even
had
more.
one guy went about 3 months, a little over 3 months. But he came right in with a definitive, and that was 27 homes.
So, but get your account set up for engineering review. Get in to see the finance director, the new, set up that in advance, because as soon as you submit, you can go right the next day and get that in and start the review process going. Well, you know the drill
Who's the,
now.
Who was the
like,
review
who's the,
It's, use Woody, cause,
GZA and Camet Engineering, those are the two you're gonna choose from.
I mean, you might as well get back to where it was, cause they're familiar with
Just a
it.
quick question,
Sure.
if
Yeah.
it's, if this has gone through all this scrutiny, you guys, you
Yeah.
said it's been like, what, 4 years of going back and forth on the thing?
Right.
They've done reviews on this, and we
Mhm.
had all the hydrocalcs done on that,
Mhm.
system?
Right.
What are they reviewing?
Reviewing the changes. That's why I said you gotta list the changes and what it is, and then, you know, they're just gonna recertify your results. I mean, you've got a 6-year window there of time
Okay.
that passed. I mean,
Do
it's
you-
a better plan,
So-
but you still
Do
gotta
you
look at it.
have all that stuff that was reviewed?
Yes.
Okay. And then you're that much closer, as
Who-
long as you're
who
holding
reviewed it
to
last
what
time?
was
Same.
reviewed.
Can it?
You
Yeah, I
make
would
those
do-
changes.
All right,
So
we'll use
all you're
that
gonna
since
really
we
have
Right.
to do is to point out now what changes took place.
Okay, I guess what I'm hearing is I need to submit a narrative letter explaining the project and the changes.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so we'll
Board.
sign off, you'll submit it, we'll review it,
Yeah.
we'll approve to go to the minor changes on the filing.
Yeah.
And then you list what, and then in the plan, load it under detail, and then list what those are,
Okay,
okay? And then just send it out for review, and, I mean, you'll be checking boxes on some of the stuff, but you do have some changes that have to get reviewed,
so it seems like the buffer is the main thing that's changed.
The buffer, the less lot, the decreased road length, if you're gonna pitch like a different cul-de-sac, you got a landscape plan you gotta submit. It's pretty standard anyway, tree in the middle and a bunch of stuff around it.
Do you have any guidelines for the buffer?
Yeah, it depends on, yeah, I would talk to these folks first. Cause one of the other things you're gonna be doing under the minor changes, we're gonna have a one hearing shot, if that's it.
I'll go heavy on the buffer too, for the neighbors. I'll be able to, at least there's more land.
Yeah, there should be something in there, right? It's usually 30 feet or something like that. Double or triple stag, on the trees, but it depends on what, I don't know what's back here. Is it
If
still?
there's already trees there, so if trees are left
Try to
there
keep-
oh.
and not touched, is that okay?
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
wanna-
keep
I don't
what's
wanna cut
there.
things down to replant.
Further
It just
ahead.
has to be delineated on the plan, it's a no cut, no build.
Go down
Because the
Stonebridge,
Residents do not look at their
Stonebridge.
plot
Stonebridge.
plans and they go
Look
out
on the
with
left side.
chainsaws.
you'll see the
We'll mark it, the
monuments
bound markers.
with the plaques on
So
them.
everyone knows.
Concom might be able to give you the language on that.
Okay, so that's where I'm gonna get my guideline for the buffer from the Conservation Commission.
Sometimes, sometimes it just comes from the residents on that. I mean, you gotta get out there with a tape measure and see what it is.
Yeah, I'll measure it up and
Show 'em.
see what looks good.
Run the orange tape down at 30 feet or whatever it is you're proposing,
No, that's a real good idea, that's what I'm gonna do.
so everybody can see it.
Alright, I'll run some tape down and see what they see.
So, that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for coming in, we'll look forward to hearing from you.
Appreciate your time.
If you get it right, you just chop the year off, so. Be nice to see this,
Yeah, what do you do?
it'd be nice to see this thing just put to an end.
You don't wanna see me another 6 years?
Well, I think you took the record on that,
Yeah.
on the longest review.
Not me.
Yeah, the subdivision,
There were a lot of, reasons for that.
yeah.
Can we just hit Lisa right away?
Yeah, where's Lisa? Ta-da! Okay. Thank you for waiting. Look, she's got her notes and everything.
Yeah, they're not bad. That's in storage.
Well, one question maybe with a few parts is,
Take your ruler.
were you paid in
Thank you
full?
very much.
Scale?
I think I was, yeah, otherwise,
Okay, so where are we at this point with you?
I delivered a final product to Woody and to the board 5 years ago,
Okay,
yeah.
so your conclusion is you did it.
Well, yeah, I mean, I can't come make the town pass it or adopt it, there was, here's what my recollection was. My recollection was Woody and I delivered a final product.
Mm-hmm,
There were supposed to be joint meetings
yes,
with the zoning board and planning board,
yes,
et cetera, board of selectmen, and that never happened.
correct.
Mhm.
Now, it's on a fast track.
Well,
Excuse me.
that's it's relevant, right? 6 years, right?
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah, and guess who's looking at it?
Oh, there you go.
And-
You know,
and
I'm
it's-
happy to answer any questions about it,
Yeah.
Jim, with Woody or whatever, but my problem is now I've switched roles. And so
Yes.
I would have to well, we are named special municipal employees, but I can only do that when I'm not representing the board.
Right,
So I'm happy to talk to Woody about it to the extent I can and then pass the information on or whatever.
so we would talk to Woody and he
Yeah,
would talk to
and
you.
then whatever.
Well, we could.
What about
'cause-
a past, because this isn't anything new, this was in a former role, so.
Right.
So isn't it more like a history lesson?
Well, I mean, we can review that just so long as that's all that I'm doing.
Yeah.
You need to be really careful about that.
Yeah, you would be reviewing a past product, not suggesting anything.
Right, so I mean, I gave, my recollection at the time is, and I really would have to go back, is that we provided electronic and hard copies of the final.
Yeah, those were tough to find, by the way.
Of the,
Yeah.
of
We
the-
spent a long time looking for that disc.
well, but so that I gave
We
the
have
electronic
it, we have
version.
it, yeah.
We got it.
We
Yeah,
finally got
a
it.
month or so ago
Yeah,
to Woody.
right.
So, and one of them was, so the documents that I provided was a annotated version, that's not what I gave Woody, I gave him the final product. But I think that I had an annotated version that was what the document looked like before we had all of our meetings and made all of those changes. And then the final document, and then maybe even a memo explaining all of the changes.
Mhm.
Because you wanted to see how the document changed. So
Mhm.
I believe that I created an annotated version,
Mhm.
then the final version, then a memo explaining it. I believe that's what I did.
That's what was asked for with the previous zoning board, and that you did deliver that. I
Yeah,
remember that. Our first meeting with all three boards are going to be on June 26th. So we're finally meeting, and there's all new members on the zoning board, and we're all in agreement to work together to get this on a fast track.
yeah.
So,
This version, which was put into booklet form, which was delivered here,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of books, and the version that we got, okay, the electronic version, the numbering system's a little bit different, that's all.
Okay, well,
Everything else is
maybe Woody
there.
took it and
So-
renumbered it or something before, cause all I did was ship it over to him.
Yeah,
Now, what was the questions you had, Jim, specifically?
well, I mean, it was, I'll tell you, one of the worst ones, I mean, I can work with just about everything. I mean, there's certain things I can probably put back into it. There were some things where you said in the old bylaw where you went into section 820, okay? I can find it, I was going back and forth between the bylaws and just, you know.
In the annotated one,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm going this to that, okay?
Yep,
Ruining my eyesight on the way, but it's
you
been.
should have done the annotation.
It's been done, I found virtually everything, there was one section that is totally missing here. Ah, God, we can find the damn thing, 400. This is conversion to apartments and condominiums, it never made it over, it says it was in 410 in a table of uses, but
We would have gotten so I have to tell you, I really don't remember the details, but I will tell you, we would have gotten rid of something that said conversions to apartments and condominiums and called it multifamily. Because you
did
can't,
that, yeah,
because you can't control ownership.
that's what you say in this, we can't, we
See,
can't.
there you go.
Yeah, not regulate type of ownership.
So it would have been called multifamily.
Yeah, and it only shows up in the business zone.
Okay, so I don't
As an
remember.
approved use, but we never had it there in the first place, we had it in the, well, we did have it in certain areas of the business zone, but not entirely. But it was mostly in the residential zone, and it shows up
Right.
in NP. You know,
Yeah, so I don't,
Not permitted,
yeah.
so.
I'd have to go back and look at
Yeah,
mine.
but
notes.
what the matrix does do is it does do single families and two-family duplex.
Mm-hmm.
Which if with this thing did drop, as far as I'm concerned, then you're fine. 'Cause
Well, I
we
mean, you
said
know, it's
we would
obviously,
do
you can
this.
still, nobody ever adopted it. So
Now we have to start over.
if you wanna change that,
Yeah,
you could put it wherever you wanna put it.
well, I've added, I don't know how much to the uses.
Right,
If it exists in this town, if it's a business or industry that exists in this town, and it isn't coughing up, all sorts of problems right now, it's in there.
mhm,
And threw everything in the kitchen sink in, so to
Right.
speak. I even put in some thing, businesses we used to have,
yeah,
which no problems with, they're just gone.
right. I mean, we spent a lot of
So,
time on that,
yeah.
table uses, I remember
Yeah.
the
And we
pet
did a lot
shop
more
slash
permitting.
wild
Yeah,
thing.
we did a lot more permitting too, without, special permits and all
Mhm.
that. Here's one thing, question I do have. If we were to meet with, business owners of a shopping center,
Mhm.
okay, cluster of businesses, and we were to get them to come into a Board of Appeals meeting, whoever's the permit granting authority, and approve, they're gonna have a certain amount of permitted, but they've got others that are sitting in there right now, and possibly others that could sit in there right now. Could we pre-approve?
The whole,
I
so
have
you have,
another-
let's say you have a shopping center that
It's got
has
12 units
units in it.
that's occupied, but for the future, three leave. Instead of this poor guy running out and doing special permit meetings, if he's pre-approved for, instead of 12 businesses, he's pre-approved for 36 businesses.
Well, no. The uses are what you want, so you wanna make sure in that district, wherever you have the shopping center, that the kinds of uses would be allowed.
The only problem is, there are shopping centers, there are shopping centers. We found some, they got plenty of parking. We got some, believe me, they're crunching into one another.
Right.
And it's almost like you're treating each other separately, but if you went to.
We can do it by square footage.
Well, yeah, and that's more
Well,
right.
so one of the things, I don't remember what we did here, but oftentimes when we're doing zoning,
Mhm.
we do, retail under 5,000, retail between 5,000 and 10,000, retail over 10,000. So you apply for obvious reasons, different criteria to each of those. So you could do the same kind of thing
Mhm.
on that.
The only
But
problem,
you can't really pre-approve
Yeah.
because unless there's actually a use going in, you have to deal with it in your table of uses.
What about a buy right though?
Well, that's what I'm saying, you put in
that's
your,
what
you
I'm
buy
saying,
right
the
in your
by right
table of
is the
uses.
permitted, but
And then,
then
so if you want
we have a lot.
retail,
Yeah, we have a lot of others that you do have to get the special permit. But what I found when I went out and counted parking spaces. There's certain businesses that are gonna fit that one, but they're not gonna fit this one.
alright, so the other way to do this, and this is much more cumbersome though for the
Mhm.
original, and I'm just trying to think about where you might have something, you could do essentially like a master plan for a shopping center, okay?
With an overlay?
And that's right, and so the shopping center in the master plan, they would come in, the developer, and say, okay, you would approve it for this list of uses in this shopping center, so long as you have these number of parking spaces. And that way that the the developer, the owner, whoever, doesn't have to come in and get a new permit every single time somebody fills into that
Right.
slot. So you've approved it under the master plan, and then the separate permits come in by
Mhm.
right. The building inspector just takes it and says, okay, yep, check, you've got the parking, check, they finished the landscaping, check, you've got your sign, check, the uses and appropriate
Mhm.
use for the site already approved under the master plan.
Yeah. It's additional work, I mean, this ain't gonna get done in the next 3 months.
Okay.
It's gonna be part 2.
Now, were you the only one writing this, or who else was writing it with you?
Me.
Grabowski wasn't in there either?
Well, he reviewed it,
Yeah, afterwards?
Mhm.
you know, we talk, when we do stuff like this, we go back and forth on it,
Okay.
so.
Alright.
All right, we know something.
Okay.
So, you know, if Woody has questions or,
Yeah,
you know,
okay.
whatever, if you don't have the annotated version, I can really, I'll pull out my notes and see
Yeah,
what they say and do whatever.
Yeah, you know, cause if we go back to Woody, then, you know, we gotta power him back up, and
Yeah.
I think what it is just answering questions on existing work, not
Yeah,
necessarily.
I mean, I
anything
don't
else.
have a problem with that.
Okay,
yeah,
so, you two ought to go direct since you, to get out of the middleman, unless there's,
Yeah, if you've got questions, clarification, whatever, shoot me an email and I'll
yeah.
send it back to you.
okay,
Well, I think what I'm
And I'll pull out my
what
file.
I'm gonna try to do with the Board of Selectmen, they wanna get this new one approved, okay? We did try to take the old one and put the matrix in it, well, town council got involved, forget it.
No, you can't do that, cause it
No,
was
I know,
so
I
messed
know,
up.
you ended up
right.
going back to what was created.
No,
again.
it was,
So-
that, no offense to your existing zoning, but it's a problem.
Well, it is a problem, and then the other problem was a whole year delay
Yeah,
with the old ZBA, where we were
Right.
trying to explain that to them, and then it got really complex, and then,
no, you can't pull a new matrix and try to stick it in
Yeah.
the existing document,
you have to accept the new one.
because there were significant issues with the existing
Well,
document.
that wasted about a month of my time,
Yeah,
you
Yeah.
know, and
so
then-
give me a call.
Yeah,
Okay,
okay, all right,
thank you.
all righty,
Welcome.
thank
you.
All right, see
you,
you later.
all righty.
Okay,
Yeah, go take care of it. You already started.
yeah, we're just gonna sign a form for Kevin, so. You get your 3 forms, you got your check, you got, what is it, 500 lots, you get 3 lots, 1,500.
Here's, this is
This is the
the
paper.
easement, no, this is the easement.
Oh. That is a weird looking, that'll be interesting when that comes out, okay. Okay, I see what you did, but that's gonna go a different way. Okay, thanks for bringing that in. So, who's got a Mylar thing, anybody? And you got one paper copy of this thing?
My log in the office on the table.
This is the Mylar.
No,
You have one paper copy?
the pen is.
Yeah, I left you the other copies, right?
I haven't seen that one.
So what, we got 3 copies, 4
We
copies?
need 1 Mylar, 1 paper, and 3 applications. And then we need a motion to endorse.
Jim, it's on
I'll
the
go in until
table,
he gets
right?
back.
Can you vote before you go? Motion to endorse the Form A? As it is, okay,
3 and 3 and
guess that's a no.
It was 1,500.
Ready? Yeah, 500 per lot, so it's 1, 2.
Paid out to the town of Groveland.
Yeah.
One, two, three, this one, yep. Yeah, we don't need that one.
You don't need a vote?
Form
Yeah,
A.
you get 3, yeah, so that's all good. So, we need a motion to endorse the, Form A plan and the Form A application and Form A1.
And what's the address?
School Street, number
231.
231.
So motion?
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Show the vote unanimous. Show the endorsement, so today's the, 20th, thank you. Okay, guys, wanna start down that way with the plan, I'll get this going, we'll get you,
be interesting.
Can I get these stamped tomorrow by hand at the clerk?
Yep.
Sidewalks and this, Is it really?
So, and she'll stamp all three.
Yep.
We get one, you get one, the registry gets one. And then the Mylar you take with you, 6 certified copies, and you need the electronic disc
Okay.
of that.
Did they give that to me too?
We need 3 copies of that. Your engineer does, he just puts it on a disc. I don't think they'll do that.
After it's stamped though, yeah? I mean, after it's recorded?
No, that's a good question. I don't know if the registry does that.
Cause I didn't get that last time when I did the first.
Yeah, you missed a few things somehow on that tour. So, I don't know if the registry has that capacity to give you 3.
If not, I just have Bill do it, just give me 3 copies of this exact plan, right?
Yeah, on the
Signed-
disc.
Signed plan?
No. 2 different things. We need 6 certified copies on the registry
I
of the
understand
paper.
that part,
The electronic disc, we need 3.
yeah. Okay.
One goes to the road commissioner, one goes to us, and one goes over to the assessor. Okay, so she can get it into the data system electronically.
right. Okay.
Okay,
Well, Walter, you already signed all 3 of these, right?
yes, I get those, yeah, I'm just looking at these as they're coming down here.
Now, I just need to check, I gotta deposit that.
It's a check.
There you go, let's go to life savings.
Okay, we get this, that's ours, this one's yours. Okay,
Oh, you don't have to sign this, right?
no, that's all done,
He already did those.
yeah, Form A.
So this is yours.
Yeah, this one's ours, and when you give us this, just throw your stamp, one of those stamped sets, okay, in our mailbox, and then we take that, put it with this, and then we're all set. Any questions? Okay,
I'll be back with a lot of questions.
You only got
thank you very much.
another month to get this right, that's it.
Paying dues every month. Alright, thanks guys, appreciate it.
Alright,
You're welcome.
alright.
Sorry to keep you waiting.
No problem. What to the,
Okay, state your name and address, please.
Douglas Joanna, 116 Main Street, my wife Carol.
I'm gonna get ready to
We
sign.
applied for an in-law apartment at the zoning
Oh, why do
board,
I even do that?
and they've asked me to withdraw my application at that time, stating that it's a detached
Okay.
building.
Alright. Yeah, I don't
And
know.
that, the interpretation of the bylaw was vague on whether they allowed it or not allowed it. So, not doing this every day, I did what they asked and withdrew. And-
This was on April 7th, I got a notice from the zoning that you met with them that day,
Yes.
and this is what, okay.
Do you have any plans or anything you can show us, or pictures?
I didn't bring them in tonight, but I can supply you with whatever you need. I just wanted to come and get some information tonight, I guess.
Okay,
But I have a building attached to my garage.
okay,
Measures 24 by 40 feet
okay,
with the stairs. The in-law apartment would be on the 2nd floor, and it would be less than 900 square feet. It will have 2
entrance egresses at each end of the building.
Mhm.
And it's for my mother, who is 82 years old, and she's losing her house in Haverhill. And this is just gonna give her a place to live and still call it her place. She doesn't,
That's why we wrote that bylaw.
she
So-
is very independent. She works a 40-hour week at 82 years old, and she still
For her.
can't afford a house.
Okay,
But she doesn't wanna live with any of the, my brothers or sisters, because she's very independent. So after it was turned down, I went to the town clerk's office and I asked if we could look and see if anybody else has ever had a permit for a detached apartment, in-law apartment.
mhm,
And I found two that were granted in 2010. And
where were those?
one is the McComsky property, which is
From Scotland Yard Estates.
Scotland Yard
Okay,
Estates.
yeah,
I can literally see this one from my back porch, it's right in
Okay.
my backyard.
and what's the other one?
The other one is on 97 School Street, and I got copies of it, I wanna give to you. It's 263 School Street, and they got a permit to turn same as McComsky, it was a pool house, and they had they were granted a special permit
Mhm.
under a hardship.
But,
Yes. Now, they asked me to come, the zoning board asked me to come here, and they said,
Well, there's two things. One is this,
because we wrote this,
yeah, and then there's
So-
this, which is
Mr. McDonald was under
this
the,
right here.
Mr. McDonald was reading it, and he believed it to say that it allowed it.
yeah,
Bill Dunn was not quite sure, but he was on the fence.
now, was Bill in which capacity?
Bill was not, he was
Alternate
thank you, sir, an alternate.
Alternate, okay.
Now, the chair was against it. And all I'm really asking is to have the same considerations for my family as has been extended to other families.
Yeah,
I explained to them, they asked me to come here and ask for an apartment permit, and I explained to them, I'm not interested in getting an apartment permit. I don't wanna deal with.
it's not the
tax.
apartment permit,
We
it's
can't,
the,
we can't grant that.
it's the 900 square
I
feet,
don't know where they're
okay.
getting that one from.
Maximum floor size, it's an accessory apartment. 900 square feet.
Living room, Bedroom, kitchen, and bathroom, and
Right,
that's it.
okay.
I
So-
took a ride up yesterday. How many floors are there? Are there three
There's
or
three in
two?
that building, yes,
3 floors.
yes there is.
Well, that's a garage, basically.
It's a barn, garage, yes.
All right, see, one of the problems that we have is there's two parts of the bylaw.
How many square feet is it you're building? 8 what?
It's, the apartment will be under 900 square feet, it'll have a door.
Right,
You'll have a set of stairs going upstairs, the entrance to the apartment will be on one end, and then there'll be a side on the, back will be another entrance exit. But the living quarters will be under 900 square feet, it'll have a bathroom, which will be a little oversized, but that's because she needs, handles and stuff.
okay. Jim, we wrote here, and I'll tell you the history of this real fast, because we were having problems that the town was from, because what was it, 600 square feet or something at the time? And with the
It used
handicap
to be,
stuff,
yes. We
yeah, it was
increased-
so ridiculously small with today's standards, you couldn't get a wheel, if you had a wheelchair, you were in trouble. So we wrote this, and if this date is correct, we wrote this, the planning board wrote this, to allow exactly what you're talking about, and bumped it up to 900 square feet, so you wouldn't have to go through the ZBA to do it. If you were under 900 square feet, you just went to the building inspector and got a building permit, and you did it. You didn't have to go through there.
I remember
But
asking,
what it is, it's in another building,
Well, it is, but
not within the
but-
dwelling. That's
but
what it's
remember-
supposed to do.
301.86 was written prior to the amendment to 301.83. So that's the problem here, is that these two didn't line up. So this was, back to the by right, okay, if you were under 900 square feet, you were a green go. You just went to your building inspector, came in with your plans, and you built it, okay? This, I know exactly what you're talking about, if it's a detached structure, okay? But this was written prior to the time that we had that we had, amended this in '04. So I bet you 301, 86, and 87 were written way back.
That was something Peter Minnick had done, he was on the Board of Appeals.
Yeah, what year was that?
Oh, God, it was
Peter, that's way back.
way back in the nineties, early nineties.
Yeah,
Because we were having those things come before us and we couldn't do anything.
yeah.
Is that right though? All I have to do is ask the, because I talked to Pat and he says, Doug, he says, I can't let you have it because it's an apartment in-law. He says, but you just gotta go to the zoning board, and he goes, and they'll probably let
Yeah,
you do it, so. Well,
So, yeah,
could I ask
under
that
this,
somebody to talk to him and let him
yeah,
know?
do you have any, you don't have any plans?
I can get you-
Bob, you saw this, right?
I can get you a plan.
I saw it from the driveway, and I also went to the homestead to look at that
Okay.
area too.
Under our amendment here on this board 10 years ago, okay, from the sound of it, without looking at a plan, okay, this clearly would comply with 30183. Okay, it's under 900 square feet, its purpose is the same,
Yeah, but
Okay.
doesn't, the problem is it says within a
Accessory.
principal dwelling,
yeah.
that's the problem.
So, yeah,
This is, now what it says down here, and when I was on the Board of Appeals, if they had a detached structure, and they took that detached structure and built some sort of a breezeway to the dwelling itself,
it was attached.
we granted it.
What's the distance between the two?
And we've actually done that, Jim. We
Yeah,
made
I-
it,
it's,
That's what I'm saying,
right?
Okay, now,
but
here's
he
what,
doesn't have it, it's not attached, that's
What's
the
the
thing.
distance?
So,
probably 40 feet, and
Oh,
I
it's way
talked,
out.
yeah, and I
At
talked to
least
Jim.
40 or more.
Okay,
The reason I don't wanna do that, and it's a,
no, I understand, that's too far away.
well, it's not that, it's, right now, a fire truck can pull right up into my property and
Yeah,
keep my property safe from one building taking down my next. If I connect the two, they gotta go up Scotland Yards Road, they gotta go onto private property of other people to come onto my property, is,
yeah,
and the other thing is, I have two families in town that have both done this for the same reasons, and I'm the one that's told no. I mean,
no, I don't think you should get a no on this, I'm trying to figure out how to get you to
I
comply,
appreciate that, sir.
comply with the regulation, and also, how does the,
but it
how
looks
can we
like
get you
you
into the
also have
regulation?
another garage entrance way, a garage door or whatever on the
It-
side of it.
Yes, and that's a shop, you all guys are all welcome to walk into this. The first floor has a lift in it, and it's just a place for me to putt around on my tractor, my cars.
Okay.
And when I built it, it was only gonna be one floor. I went in for a one floor permit, and Pat says, Jesus, this is a nice location. He goes, you ever think of making it 2 stories? I said, Pat, no, I didn't. And I said, for,
That's
you know,
where you
just
got
a
in
question.
trouble, Doug.
I know. I said, how much would it cost for 2 stories? And he said, I wanna say $180 more or something. I said, well, I'll pay for it. And at that time, I said, honestly, I don't know if I'm gonna do it, but I'll have the option. That first floor, it'll never be anything but a workshop from me. You can drive through the first garage, right into the second garage, put your vehicle on a lift. It's got a 13-foot ceiling, and do whatever maintenance you know. It's just something I do. I don't buy the newest vehicles. I like to keep the title in my house rather than the bank's house.
So your in-law's gonna be going up and down stairs?
Yes,
she
and,
wants to do?
right now she can do that, and we've already looked into having the stairs, the seat put in where she would ride up the stairs. She is
Now,
a,
from looking at your garage, going up your driveway, that building's right there, and then your other building's off to the right. You couldn't connect the breezeway over there?
no, I think you're looking at the wrong house. My building is, my house is here, there's a small 2-car garage here, and this
If you're in
building's
the driveway, what side is your house on?
on the
Right.
right-hand side.
On the right?
And the garage is directly in
Yeah,
front of you, and the
that's
barn
where
is
I was.
attached to the
I wasn't
garage.
looking at the wrong house.
All right, well, I'm glad, but from the front of the garage to my house is 40 feet.
Yeah.
You know, and like I said, right, when I bring my firewood in, I can drive right into my yard, empty my truck, back it out and go. I keep that area open, just for a reason, like I said, if emergency personnel needs to come in, I want them to be able to pull in, do their business and not restrict it. It's exactly what my neighbor has, it's exactly what they
This.
have.
And this was their interpretation. That's my honest
But what
opinion.
he's I mean, there have been detached done. Matter of fact, one was a shed that was
What?
done, it was on Evergreen. It's got it in the back. So,
Is it attached to a breezeway?
no,
And the Board of Appeals granted that?
the Board of Appeals, our intent of the planning board in writing and rewriting 301A3 was to not involve the ZBA. It was a by right, if you were under the 900 square feet, you didn't have to go through that whole process. And the problem was, by the time they got to, if you remember this, we had ill patients that were coming in, right? Family members, and by the time they got through this process, which took them months and months and months, they were somewhere else.
I don't.
And so that's why we sped this process up, because for the handicap ramps, and if you remember right, I think maybe one of the vehicles that really pushed us to this was the person that applied. It took them over a year, and they went into hospice, and they never got it built before that.
Walter, the way I remember it was that we wanted to go from the 600 to the 900, but
Right.
we did not take away the stipulations of the breezeway and everything else. That wasn't discussed.
Well, I don't know about the
The
breezeway part.
connection
The
and,
connection.
The connection, you're talking about the connection with the structure, but I can tell you that there is one that I know of,
When you get into Merrimack.
yeah, that takes that
it's
out,
a dwelling.
okay.
That's the
but I think this
The-
should be left in the hands of the zoning board.
They just asked them to withdraw, so it's back to us.
Yeah.
So, and we wrote this bylaw in what its intent was. Okay, we wrote this, and we amended it.
Right, but it wasn't to take away the structure that was in there on other things about the connection and either a breezeway or connected.
Well, the connector, I'm not gonna touch the connector part because it was written prior to it. Peter Minnick had his hand in it, that was before my time.
Both of us were on the zoning board, we know
Yeah.
what we're talking
Yeah.
about.
Okay, but there are two that he just rattled off, at different addresses, and I know of one that is a
Two wrongs
completely,
don't make a right.
it's a third. And
Well,
I'm
it's
sure
a
there's
third.
more. It's completely detached, it's completely detached, and it's, I don't know if it's 40 feet away, but it's at least 30, because there's a driveway in between.
All right,
That's
we're
how they
meeting-
access
We're
it.
meeting with the zoning and selectmen on the 26th, this is something we should discuss to
How about-
clarify and everything.
No,
This
how
is
about
one
just
of
go
the
to
things.
Pat? Pat is the zoning enforcement officer.
He told me
Okay.
to come here.
Well, I
Well,
God much I know why he
what
asked
he's
to come
done.
here.
If my question is, could somebody from the, planning board have
Yeah,
a
I can
conversation
call
with
Pat and
say,
ask him when can you go see
He's
him?
only one person, he's entitled to make mistakes, we all do it. and-
Well, it's not a mistake, he's actually, at this point, he's actually doing the right thing and clarifying what it was, because he didn't write this.
Okay.
He interprets it, and so,
We
but
can't
he
see
also
him
has
until
to.
Monday.
What's that?
We can't see him until Monday. Monday nights he's here.
Right, but I
You
mean,
can't call him during the day?
Oh, we can call him, but you said, when can we see him? We could see him
Sometimes
Monday.
he comes out, I don't know.
Huh?
Sometimes he'll come out.
Oh, okay.
Has he seen the property? Has he
oh
actually
yeah.
been there?
he
Oh,
knows-
yeah, he's been there.
Okay.
He talked me into the second floor, now I'm trying to use it.
So why don't we kick this back at the moment?
You should talk to me before you talk to him.
So let's go back to
I
Pat on
didn't say I
this.
know what I was doing, I knew how to build a building, that was it.
Well, that's
But I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go back to Pat, the zoning enforcement officer. I can explain to him why 301A3 was written. And then maybe he can tell me where he would like to send you and why and for what purpose. What's his interpretation as the zoning enforcement officer of this page? Okay, and maybe he knows something and we could share some information and find out.
Great.
Okay, but I think that would help out. Now, if he says, yeah, you gotta go back like these folks are with the breezeway, then you gotta get a waiver to the breezeway, and the reason would be for emergency access.
And where would I get that,
And
at
fire
the zoning
safety.
board?
If you're sent back that way. Okay,
So, all right, so my next course of action is to see Pat and.
See Pat, and let's get an interpretation
You guys
going.
can work something out.
right, cause
Okay.
he has the authority to issue, but he has to understand the interpretation.
Okay.
Okay, and, however, I do understand exactly what these other two sections say of 8.6 and 8.7. Okay,
And that's
However-
where I think the zoning board canceled.
Yeah, so they may have gone this way and not, and remember, it's a new zoning board too, so they may not have known that there's been a grandfathering or past practice because of fire access to
Well,
waive.
Here's the problem
that.
with past practice, when you keep, the Board of Selectmen keep abruptly changing the zoning board of appeals.
There's no
Every
history.
so many, yeah, exactly, it drops.
There's no constitutional
There's no-
memory,
yeah.
and when, that's what happens.
And that's the worst thing that happens, I mean, if we had, you know, say, at least 3 people that were there back in the 90s to this day, there's gonna be a memory, there's gonna be that history,
Right,
understanding
right.
and everything, and it's not there.
I mentioned to them of one of the properties, and they go, they don't even have a permit. I said, yes, they do, I've seen it. I said, I've talked to the homeowner, I've seen it.
Well,
So,
How long have you been doing this,
yeah,
this process? When did you
We
start?
built the building.
no, a couple weeks for
Oh, yeah.
this.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
That's better.
You know,
one of the other problems is when you get, when the Board of Appeals gets into a problem with the bylaw and they make a decision, either way, they have to come up with a thing known as a finding of fact.
Mm.
And that finding of fact, even though they cite the bylaw and everything else, they have to write a finding of fact.
That's why they asked them to withdraw.
Because if it goes into the court system at that point,
Mhm.
that's what the judge looks at.
That's why they asked them to withdraw.
That's probably why.
that's why.
That's
they-
why they asked you to withdraw.
They didn't, yeah.
They were actually doing you a favor when they asked you to withdraw the
I
application.
sense they were, I just couldn't, it
For
all
what you-
happens,
If they rejected it,
when you sit on your back porch and you see that one of your neighbors have done this, and you're like, okay, I pay my taxes, I get up and go to work every day, I'm gonna do that. And then you get hit with this, you're like, what am I, a second-class citizen?
I got a side story to that too, I'll tell
But,
you later.
I know, but it's right, you say, well, second-class citizen, I want the same consideration for my family. I believe I have a fundamental right to take care of my mother.
Yeah,
no, I think you'll ultimately get there. We just gotta figure out how to
No, I
get things
appreciate your
going.
time, that's why I came here with nothing but these, I didn't know what else I was gonna.
Yeah, just a
need,
a
but-
plan would've helped us a little bit. We could've guided you, but that's okay. So you know where you're going with that. I believe when they asked you to withdraw your application, so they didn't have to come up with a finding, because if they have a finding and it's in the negative, then you have to overcome the negative, and that's what Jim was just pointing it to. So they actually did you
you'd end up going.
a good piece of
to court,
advice there.
you know.
And I talked to him, I said, listen, I don't wanna end up in court, but,
Mhm.
you know, I.
No, I
believe
don't think.
I
you-
believe I can win this, I don't wanna go
It's not a
there.
win, it's a comply with, how do we help you with this
I just
regulation?
want what my neighbors have.
Well, and
You
the
know?
thing is, when we applied, they sent the information to all of our neighbors who have any property lines within, what, 300
300
feet?
feet.
And not one of them complained about it.
Yeah, it's not being,
You got a nice neighborhood, you must get along up there.
we help each other out. Alright, so I'm gonna, do what you asked, Monday I'll come in and see Pat, well,
Call him, don't wait till Monday.
but I need time for you to have a talk with him.
Yeah, I'll call him tomorrow.
Okay,
And
after
see if
work,
he
I
can
get out, I'll try to get a hold of him.
Yeah, and I'll explain to him where we are on that, and this is yours. 116, right?
Yes.
Did they say withdraw without prejudice?
I wanna say, yeah,
Well, yeah,
we did.
you-
I had,
No.
I have to give them a letter, but yeah, that they accepted it.
If you withdraw
Did you
without
withdraw,
prejudice, that means you can go back anytime.
Right, did you withdraw, right?
I did,
You
Yeah.
did, okay,
I
good.
did, and that was under their recommendation.
Right, so that they gave you everything back and you just withdrew it like it didn't exist? Or did they actually
They
ask
kept
you
my
to
money,
give us a letter?
they kept my money, do I get that back?
How much was it?
$500.
Whoa. We charge 25?
No, it actually was that much back then. so-
No, we didn't charge
Wouldn't I
5.
get
We
that
never
back?
charged 5.
Wouldn't I get that back though?
Never.
I don't know.
No.
That's a good question. I don't know. I can't speak for that board on that.
For years.
No.
If we asked
We
you to
never-
withdraw for
we
an
never did.
application,
We went way back.
We never
then
did.
everything usually goes back. But that's our board.
You were on the zoning board, right?
Yeah.
Does someone get their money back when they withdraw?
Yeah, well, back then, our fees were so minuscule, they were only like $25. I mean, you know, it was,
Geez, they were good days, weren't
Yeah,
they?
there were good days, let me tell you.
How much is
I-
the building
I-
permit?
That was like 350, somewhere in that range.
Oh, so you already got the,
I've already built it.
We've already built the barn.
This is an existing
If
building.
right now that area is a game room.
Yeah, this was built,
okay, I mean,
You
what year
do
was
want,
that?
you do understand that if he grants it, if you were to get this granted by the building inspector, okay, because you have 900 square feet, understand that pumpkin's the minute your mother-in-law passes, and she's no longer
Unless
there.
you list it,
Yeah.
unless you list it with
Now,
the
in-
assessor.
In some
Okay.
towns like Merrimack, when you go and do something like this,
Yeah.
it becomes a 40B.
well, even, you know,
So,
I mean, down the road, you know, I might live there. I don't know what's gonna happen.
Okay, but when did, just for
I'm sorry, when I
history's
built
sake-
it?
Yeah, when did you build it?
2 years ago.
2 years ago it was $300. Okay, when you go to pull a new permit, what is that gonna cost you?
For the in-law apartment?
I don't know. I haven't
Okay.
gone that far yet.
Ask, when you talk to Pat, ask if you can apply. I'm sure the ZBA had expenses of sending out the mailings and the certified mail. So you should probably find out what that is. Maybe, let's say it's, $150 to hit the abutters up? Okay, so ask him if you could apply $300 of the 500 towards the building permit, since it goes to the town of Groveland anyway.
Okay.
It's, he may say no, but,
Worth a try, I'd like to get something for my money.
Whether or not we
yeah,
wanna
but the
send
ZBA did
them
have
or-
expenses for the
Mhm.
No,
town,
I
so
understand.
that's,
Yeah.
you know,
I
certified
don't
mailing's
know.
not cheap.
it's not our thing.
And again, it's not our board,
All
so,
we're telling them now
so I can't say what it is.
something like we could do.
So,
I don't
okay,
know. I don't
and then
think
I'll give
Frank
Pat a
knows
call
they call
on
Pat.
this and explain to
Yeah,
him.
Understand something, well, you're
Yeah.
doing this on your own, not as the planning board, cause we can't vote on this,
No, it's not our,
okay, it's not our thing.
Yeah, it's just an
If you wanna
interpretation.
talk to Pat, you do it on your own,
yeah,
okay, cause the planning board isn't gonna take a position on this thing,
right, it's just an
Okay.
interpretation of the law,
okay?
because we don't issue the permit.
Okay.
So if this does have to go to court, I have to have somebody giving me something saying they're gonna refuse it. That would be the zoning board, go back to them.
Well, then you apply, then they reject it, then they give you a finding, and then they.
Zoning board, yes.
Okay.
Both zoning boards.
Hopefully it won't.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't think it'll go that far. Okay.
All right.
Well, thank you for your help, guys. I
Thank you.
appreciate it.
All right.
Bruce,
All right, the only other
That's just a
thing in the
friendly
mail
alert.
today.
oh,
Oh, you're just listening? Okay.
Walter,
yeah,
the other thing in the mail today that I just
They
opened,
were coming in, the water department.
he's a neighbor friend.
no, the water department was coming in with Woody and
Oh,
Mike, but we got them cleared up.
All right,
Okay, came in
okay.
the mail and,
all right, the gas station property,
yeah,
they are now going to do a monitoring of the soil around the station. They had monitoring wells years ago when they took the tanks out.
yeah,
And now they're going to decide, after putting the monitoring wells in, how to get rid of the polluted material that's there properly
okay,
by ascertaining how bad it is and
Okay.
everything. So that's gonna be starting down there shortly.
all right,
And then we've got another thing here that Conservation sent, telling us about the Mellow property and how they want to put in a
Oh.
forced main
yeah,
and to extend the pump tank and everything in there.
sure,
So it's just notification. They'll be dealing with the Board of Health and Conservation, because there's a wetlands that they wanna run the forced main to and try to tie in down to the Bagnell School, I imagine, that line that they put in.
yeah,
Another force.
But if they did gravity, you know, then the Tea Garden and a few other ones could go. okay.
Well, they couldn't go gravity, I mean, your first hill is the, I think, the.
Poison.
No, your first hill off of, School Salem is the vet,
oh, okay,
then it goes down, then it goes back up again.
The school has a
So-
pump station, but.
But the problem is, I don't know, what I got told, and I went in to see the water board the other day, they said the school didn't want anybody coming into that. You could, you know, but the problem being it's theirs. The other thing was, they were talking about putting in an interceptor right in the middle of this, of 97, where it meets Center Street
Yeah,
for future use because of that project.
when that's Salem Street.
Well, the other thing was, the plan was to have Salem Street up somewhere around Harvard, Yale, Dartmouth,
Yeah,
coming down through there, and then
Yeah,
Busing
exactly.
supposedly built a house.
yeah,
It's to the eastern side of, what is it, the DPW down there.
Yeah.
And then he put some sort of a catch in there that could send it over that land and back into, you know, the old railroad tracks to
Right.
pick up.
Mhm.
So you would have total gravity at that point. They don't really wanna get in these pump systems because they know it's a problem.
yeah,
So, you know, they wanna stick to gravity, but I even talked to them about, you know, Seven Star Road because the problem's up there. And they said they'd love to do that. But, you know, the problem is that I see this sewer just ain't going anywhere. It
This
just
is,
isn't.
this is a schematic
Yeah,
showing the existing building, the shed, and what they wanna put a new tank in and a new forced main running up, then there's, wetlands, that's why the conservation's involved in it, they'll have to replicate and everything else. This is Salem Street here. It's quite a distance, because you well know these are way above the tea garden,
yeah.
Mhm.
and then all the way down, right?
Well, it falls back down though, Bob, that's the only problem.
Yeah.
But, you know, is anybody else gonna be able to get into that at that point too? That's the whole thing. Everybody does it for themselves, but they don't,
I
you
don't
know,
consider anybody else.
you don't get any consideration for anybody else, and that's where you can't, you get your hands tied at that point. You can't move forward.
Yeah,
I mean, and I think we're gonna have to talk to the Board of Selectmen at some point about this.
Oh,
And then
sure.
get the water department in.
well, they should have a master plan, and I think they already do, it's just whether it's.
Yeah, I think they do too, but it's all based on gravity. I'm even hearing people down in South Berlin complaining about not being able to get into the sewers, and I'm looking at that and I'm saying, Jesus, everything would have to fall down into Washington Street, go all the way down to Main Street, and then you got another pump,
Yeah,
you know, cause there's no other way you could do that one. That's the only way you can get to that.
it'd be an interesting
I
system.
mean, there's parts of this town, yeah, you'll never get sewers.
Yeah.
That's it, because of the ups and downs.
Mhm.
I mean, you're not gonna put a pipe, you know, 30 feet in the ground to pick up the next rise, you just can't do it. You know,
Not without strip mine.
no, that's the whole thing.
All right, anything else?
Yeah, I'm gonna give, well, I got two buyers here. Remember I talked about splitting up the business zones
Yeah.
and the industrial zones? I was able to do it.
Oh, good.
And it wasn't hard because your numbers are there. Let me give you this one too. Alright. So this is splitting up the zones.
Okay,
This is the accessory use, okay, for, okay, you know, adding, it's basically the same thing as our, in-law apartment thing.
okay,
Okay, it's Merrimack's, okay? And then the last thing, because I'm getting some feelings about some possible entrance of, assisted living coming into the town. And I'm not at liberty to say where at this point, but there's two of them. One probably would happen, and the other one is, you know, kinda like,
we talked about
could
this,
this
Jim.
happen?
This was gonna be part of the Center Street overlay, remember? The assisted living, in Nichols Village type operation down there.
Well, this is the whole
Strawberry
thing.
fields in
Yeah.
that area, yeah.
This is the whole thing, you gotta have it in your bylaw that you can do this thing.
Well, that was all part of the master plan, was to get it and
Now,
write
here's
the
what I
language.
ended up doing, I did call Woody,
Yeah,
And I asked Woody, I said, what's the latest bylaws that have been written? And he said, Merrimack and Salisbury. Well, I got Salisbury's, okay, I went over to see Pat True. My wife graduated from high school with her. She's the town clerk, and she was also the clerk for the planning board.
that's pretty good.
Yeah, so, I mean, I got a copy, I also was able to download it as well, and then what I'm doing with the download is, I'm just simply taking it over into a Word file and, you know,
Okay.
printing it out, but these are, you know, what I wanna do is,
Got
this
them.
section 3, this types of districts, I
Yeah.
definitely want this to get into this new bylaw, because I can tell you right now, the way this thing is right now, each one of those zones is gonna end up being different.
Right,
And what I did was, I'm gonna have to get a better zoning map, because all I had was those little paper guys.
yeah, but we gotta go with the, okay, Jim, this is gonna have to redo the map too.
Yes, that's this, okay, where I do the 4 eyes, okay, but I also, here's like B1, here's B2, and this little guy down here is B3, okay?
What's that?
This is actually business, this is not industry. It hooks onto that buffer zone, but lo and behold, I don't know how this happened, but as I'm going through this bylaw, I find,
The 1965 map.
yeah, well, that's what I got, you know, that, I work with what I have. What I find in this thing is something got deleted. It's probably in the old bylaw.
Under the description?
The description of the zones,
Yeah.
okay? You guys deleted, okay,
We
C 363.
Yeah.
This was the buffer zone that Georgetown wanted in our industrial zone. This was done
Oh, I
back in the
remember that.
70s. Yeah, but guess what?
It got wiped out?
Well, that's what it appears to do, but when you go back to, the residential district,
Yeah.
okay?
Which zone,
Um,
what, RB? Alright,
It's right here,
oh, okay,
it's still there,
it just got, yeah,
and you wipe it out over here. I don't understand, what were you trying to do? I mean, this was an agreement between the two towns. My suggestion is this guy disappears, putting it back into industrial. Okay?
Mhm.
Because what's at the other side of this damn thing, further out, is their wells,
Yeah,
okay? So that going forward,
gotta put it back,
it goes back.
right,
Now, what I did was I was able to take that last download that Lisa shot us,
right,
and I created 2 files, 09,
yeah,
which is what we got, and then I created 14. What I
Okay.
did with 14, there are so many spelling errors that isn't even funny. There are so many gaps between words that isn't funny, because everything is underlined
Yeah.
all throughout it. I've been making changes on that, but, and then the sections that she said went over,
yeah,
that's all right, I'd rather be off it. The sections that went over, that didn't go over, well, I typed them in, where they were supposed to be.
okay,
All right? But the main things that still have to be done, I have to get this piece in, this types of districts, back in, and the locations of the districts, back in, to that bylaw.
we can do the map with it.
Yes, the map I have to do, okay, we have to get a map. The second thing is, and what's easy about this is, everything's contiguous, it's all connected.
But
so
can you get-
figure out your
here's
numbers
an idea.
very easily.
Here's an idea. Woody has the maps from the database,
Mhm.
so if you give him this or that,
Yeah,
okay, he can probably
bang out a map.
bang out a map for us,
Yeah, you still put them.
and,
Okay.
and then you, and get the big one,
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you a copy.
get the big one, because, and then, once we tweak it correctly,
Yeah.
then we can print seven
Okay.
of them for town meeting, cause we're
Okay.
gonna need them.
All right,
And then the language will, you already got it. Cause this has to go in for the article for the map change.
right, but that will be
Right, but there's two approvals, the bylaw plus the map.
I know, it references the map, so
Right.
the map has to be there with the new bylaw.
Right, but it's two
Okay.
separate articles.
Plus, we're I don't know, if we have to do that.
Yeah, that's how we did it last time, when we changed, we had to agree to make the change, and then you have to agree to
Now,
change the
I've
map.
gotta figure out, okay, I may go back to Merrimack and just talk to Pat True and just ask her, how did you do that article?
Yeah,
Okay, because you gotta delete the old bylaw, and you gotta
That's what we
add the
did.
new
Do you
bylaw in
remember?
the same
right,
article.
right. Do you remember how we did cluster? The same thing. We completely wiped out the entire section, okay, and then in its place, we put the new bylaw. That's how we did that.
In
And
one article.
Right, and we did the same thing with the new zoning, the new subdivision control law, which is what the registry had a field day with when we went down to record it, because it was the only one that had been newly done in 28 years, but they didn't know what to do with it once we got it down there. But that's how you do it. You vote to wipe it out, the old one, and put in its place in its entirety, the new one.
Okay.
All right, and we only have 5 months to get the marijuana district map done.
That was sent in.
Yeah.
I gave that article to Nancy. It was going to, the town council to look it over and say it's okay. At that point, then I typed the whole thing up. It was,
Okay.
You know, I made some changes to an existing bylaw, and that's it. But, you know, that also has to go in as a use. Now, the uses are up to date, as best as I can get the uses. And I can put that into, you know, Lisa Mead's. I can take out what was there and push in what we've got now, which is a much bigger system, which also would include 3 business
Yeah.
zones and 4 industrial zones.
Okay.
You know, and then what we may have to do, I think we're gonna be going through this for a few years. That's why I gave you Article 16, Article 17 as well, out of Merrimack. What I may do is just get some copies made of this thing.
We're gonna need working copies.
Yeah, cause this thing has got some juice compared to what she did.
Yeah.
I can tell you, this thing's got some juice.
What year was that done though?
Last year.
That's why.
4/29/13. Now, they only had 3 corrections they had to make, so it took a few more months to get it all done. They probably had this thing running maybe 10 months.
Yeah, well, anytime you get a town that puts in a new bylaw, everybody
When you
jumps
get
on it.
into other things like the zoning board of appeals,
Yeah,
okay, the building inspector, a lot more stuff.
yeah.
Compared to what this is, this thing felt,
It's, all right.
you know, I've got some problems with what we got. But if we're gonna have that meeting on the 26th and they say, we want something done, I'm gonna turn around, I'm gonna tell them, well, we're gonna make some changes, which we have the information to do it with, and you're gonna back us up.
They have to. I mean, that's what this fell flat before.
And
We would have had a
the
working
s-
document that we
The second thing
could have
is,
changed.
this is only part 1, guys,
Oh, yeah.
because there's a lot of other things that gotta get changed in this thing.
Well, it's a living document.
We ain't got time.
Hmm.
Okay, I mean, when you look at this thing that we got, you know, what is it, this thing's dated, what, 2009, okay? But the reality is, take about 5 years off of that and go back to somewhere around 2004, that's when the damn thing began.
Yeah.
So the reality is, it's already 10 years later.
That's why
Time
these
to
are,
change the thing, that's the
That's-
whole problem with this thing,
well, that's why they're all living documents. That's
Yes.
why they gotta be updated all the time.
yes.
So,
All right, when's our next meeting, and you need to contact Crabjack and get the hearing set up and everything.
Yeah.
So we need to set, are we gonna try to meet the second week in June, or?
Why don't we have 2 meetings, please, in June, because, and I know July and
Okay.
August are gonna get shorted,
2nd and 4th?
because, yeah,
Okay.
what's
June 2nd?
No, the second week and the.
Oh, right,
fourth
right.
week, yeah.
so what are those dates?
Let's see if I got it. Stand by. Let me look at these, wow. dates are, month, June. 10 and 24th.
10? and
June
20.
10th and 24th.
Okay.
All right, and you'll be able to send Kravchuk the proper dates to get into the Lawrence Eagle?
Mhm. Yep.
All right, so give him a heads up as soon as possible too,
Yeah, we're lucky to.
because it's 2 weeks, right, before he can even do it, so.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we're gonna have,
You know what? I'll
will
tell
he
you-
be able to submit the definitive? He'll have to wait till after that hearing, won't he?
Which one?
Kravchuk.
Submit it?
Well, Woody's going over it.
Yeah.
And can we have the hearing the same night that we sign the MyLaws and everything? Approve the, or do we need a time frame between the hearing and then?
Yeah, if everything's done at the hearing,
Yeah.
but usually there's something.
If we get a recommendation from neighbors.
Yeah. Usually we voted in to change it, to approve it, and then see if there's anything there. I've
We
never
haven't
seen them
had
go that fast.
any feedback at all from any of the neighbors so far.
Okay.
Okay, so adjourn at 9:25 PM.
Second.
In favor?
Aye.
Aye. And meeting adjourned. Thank you for watching.